Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby.
Subaru's eternal suffering continues in a double dose of episodes of ReZero. That's right, my friends, I'm going to be talking about 2 episodes of ReZero Starting Life in Another World today because I didn't have an opportunity to review episode 31 of the series, where things got pretty freaking extreme, where we got the return of none other than Elsa, a woman who is completely obsessed with blood and guts, Subaru's in particular, and that episode ended with basically him getting stabbed and impaled and disemboweled by this very big, bouncy woman. That's right, Elsa returns with her 2 very big eyes. Anywho, episode 31 is a pretty interesting beast of an episode because, of course, Subaru dies yet again and he's going to have to return to the mansion. Except that this time he is going to be bringing a little bit of help with him, bringing Ram along, which I think is actually a very smart decision, just in case Elsa decides to show up yet again to stab him directly in the gut. But of course, the main reason that he's coming here is that he wants to question everything that's been going on with Frederica, and we get a lot of massive revelations about her character, some of which seem pretty obvious, like the fact that she is indeed the older sister of Garfield. I mean, not only do the characters look tremendously similar to one another, but even somewhat their personalities are kind of the same, except for the fact that Garfield is a lot more angry, like, all the freaking time. And of course, basically, Subaru's trying to get a little bit of information about her and what her situation is with the sanctuary, and if she's actually involved in this whole, like, trap thing. Of course, she plays it kind of coy, but before we can get any, like, real solid answers, guess who returns? Everybody's favorite chesty stabby lady. Yeah, Elsa returns, and this is where the episode just decides to go super dark with everything, with not only a lot of our characters getting severely injured like Subaru himself, but even what I think might be one of the most creepy scenes of the entire series, where we get to see Frederica transform into, like, her true beast-like form, which is basically like a giant monstrous mountain lion. It looks pretty freaking awesome, I do have to admit. But we get to see that she's doing this so that she can actually save Beatrice and Rem. But then we have freaking Subaru with Petra, they're running away from this mob beast, when suddenly, like, the roof decides to cave in on top of them, and Subaru tries to make a desperate escape, and in his, like, dizziness, he actually discovers that he's still holding on to Petra, but not all of her. Only her hand, which has been completely severed from her body as she's pretty much been killed in this scenario, which of course is really fucked up to say the least. It's amazing how much this series can continue to go into the darkest direction possible. Luckily, he does end up running into Beatrice before getting attacked by Elsa yet again, and that brings us to the current episode of the series, episode 32, where things get even more confusing and crazy. So first off, what's the deal with Beatrice? Like, what is her deal anyway? I mean, we know that she's a good character, but she seems to have some sort of weird connection to the witch's cult. The fact that she's completely obsessed with that gospel book that originally belonged to Beetlejuice. What is her deal? They kind of get into it a little bit in this episode by claiming that she's doing all of this for her mother, and it's kind of hard to say who that is at this point. I mean, clearly it's someone who's associated with all these witches and the witch cult in some senses, and maybe I'm just really stupid and I can't put the pieces of the puzzle together, but she clearly is related to someone within that organization, and this entire scene with her and Subaru is tense to say the least, especially because he's sort of like at the end of his rope. He wants to kill himself yet again so that he can reset things. She doesn't want that to happen, when suddenly, of course, Elsa busts in the room and just starts to kill again. She just loves that stabby. And in the classic tradition of ReZero, Subaru dies yet again, resets everything back, and now he's back at the sanctuary with Amelia, where this time he's going to try and do things a little differently, until eventually he is called by Garfield and Ryuzu out to some random field, where suddenly Ryuzu is not too thrilled about the fact that Subaru is going to be taking on the trial himself, and forces Garfield to not only rough him up a little bit, but to even tie him up and throw him away in a cave. This is a weird scene. I'm not quite sure really what's going on here, to be honest. Like, I don't know what it is about the show, but it manages to confuse me at just about every turn. But basically, Garfield's not thrilled about the fact that Subaru has the witch's scent all over his body, which leads him to believe that he's actually a part of the witch's cult, and this does not sit well with him at all. Not to mention getting to dive a little bit more into the relationship with his sister, whom there's a little bit of bad blood between these people, as he felt that really, essentially, she sort of, like, betrayed everyone in the sanctuary, or at least that's what I'm actually gathering from this. this, there's also the big revelation that she herself is not exactly like a 50-50 perfect hybrid, which is also crucial to how you can enter and exit this sanctuary in the first place. But basically, Garfield is not feeling Subaru right now. He's just totally all up in his frickin' grill and beating the crap out of him. Garfield even tries to ensure that no one can save him, including Otto, and he actually plays up the fact that Otto is kind of a greedy little bastard. He offers him this purple jewel, which supposedly will keep him from actually helping out Subaru, but Otto actually ends up doing it, you know, out of the goodness of his heart, or at least for some other ulterior motive for some dude named Eugene. I don't know. Again, the final scene just completely confuses me, the big scene, but it's good to see Subaru laugh again, you know? I mean, that's actually something that's actually kind of good to see, and he actually ends up reuniting with Ram as they prepare for the next part of their mission. Garfield discovers that he's missing, and of course, he's super pissed off. So what's the rundown on both of these episodes of ReZero? Yes, I'm very scatterbrained with this one, but I just had just enough time to actually get this review out and just give my quick thoughts on the episode. And man, again, ReZero surprises me with how, like, it has this really bubbly, cute look on the outside, and then it can just go into, like, the darkest shit possible. And it always usually involves Subaru dying or someone within one of these scenarios that he has to reset with them dying. And I think the Petra scene where he was actually holding her hand after it had been separated from her body is one of the just most spine-tingling things that I've seen from the entire series, and it honestly just put me in a really crappy mood when I saw it for the first time. Like I said, this series just, it goes to these extremes really quick in an almost knee-jerk kind of fashion, and it always makes it really riveting, but also just very disturbing all at the same time. One of the things that bothers me about these episodes, though, is that every single time we get closer to an answer, something sort of interrupts it and, you know, breaks it up. Now, the trade-off, of course, is we usually end up getting some really cool visuals, like Frederica transforming into her actual, like, true beast-like form, or even just, like, the big scene with the Maw Beast, and anything with Elsa is always really entertaining to see, if only because she's just so freaking insane. But it was the next episode that really surprised me, especially all the scenes with Beatrice, as there's always been something about her character that's been very intriguing and shadowy, and they've always managed to keep it very mysterious, but now slowly but surely it's starting to come to light about what type of character that she truly is and who she's really affiliated with. She's not bad, she's not good, she's somewhere in between, and I still think there's a lot more to actually explain about her character and her actual motivation and how she's actually going to end up helping Subaru. However, I think the silver lining of all these episodes has got to be the final scene of episode 32 where Otto actually ends up helping out Subaru, because man, the guy's just been down lately. He's been through the worst stuff possible, so to see him have a little bit of levity and to laugh is something that I think was absolutely needed in this moment. And it's a shame, too, because he just got back from that whole scenario of dealing with the trial and seeing his parents and that whole thing that was cooked up by Echidna, and then suddenly he's thrust right back into this super violent world, and of course all the people he has to run into are the worst ones in the world, like frickin' Elsa. As for the character of Ryuzu and Garfield and what their overall plan is, still, it's completely and utterly confusing, but it's still pretty intriguing to say the least. So overall, I really liked both of these episodes, which is why I'm going to drop a 5 out of 5 on both of them. A little confusing, I have to be perfectly honest. Again, maybe I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but a lot of this stuff can be really confusing for me. In fact, ReZero from the beginning, a lot of aspects of the series I think have been kind of confusing, but only because they don't explain things, I think, in the best way possible. They just sort of do things. Again, it still manages to be incredibly intriguing, and it certainly has my attention, but it's certainly a show that's worth rewatching, if only to get sort of the finer details out of it. And these are 2 of those episodes, so make sure to check them out. Of course, you got my thoughts about the episode. I want to get yours. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below. Tell me what you want to see from the rest of ReZero, what you thought about these episodes, some of the big revelations, the crazy action scenes, the death scenes, and of course, what could be happening next in this big crazy story involving the Sanctuary. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would also like to thank all of my patrons. You guys are super awesome. Not only have you been making donations to the channel, but you can be giving me great feedback on all of the videos that I have been making, and I cannot thank you enough for that. Every single time you guys make a donation, it just lights up my world. I love it so much because you don't have to do it, but it really shows that you care and you want the content on this channel to grow. So again, can't thank you enough for that. And of course, I would love for you guys to be donators. Remember, if you make a small donation first time, I'll review an anime series of your choice, as well as adding your name to this list of super awesome people. So thank you guys again for watching this review. I'll see you all next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.